Global military spending is soaring, reaching record highs. Every year, nations pour more and more money into their armed forces, chasing the illusion of safety through sheer firepower. The numbers are staggering. Trillions of dollars spent, with no end in sight. It's like watching your neighbor spend their life savings on a shark tank instead of fixing their roof. The spectacle is impressive, but the foundation is crumbling. While the world marvels at displays of military might, basic needs are left unmet, and the cracks in society grow wider. The world is in a massive, unspoken arms race, a paradox wrapped in taxpayer money. Politicians shake hands over billion-dollar deals, while citizens wonder where their tax dollars are really going. The logic is circular. Spend more to feel safe, but the spending itself creates new fears. Governments are pouring money into defense budgets, buying fighter jets and missile systems. Factories run day and night, churning out weapons that may never be used, but always need to be upgraded. The arms industry thrives, even as other sectors struggle. No country wants to feel vulnerable, but protection has become dangerously narrow. Security is measured in missiles and tanks, not in the well-being of citizens. Leaders huddle in war rooms, convinced that more weapons mean more safety, even as the world grows more unstable. It's less about healthcare or education, more about having the biggest stick on the playground. Schools sit empty, hospitals overflow, but the military marches on. The priorities are clear, and they're not about building a better future for the next generation. Country A upgrades its air force, investing billions in the latest technology, hoping to outpace its rivals. Country B buys better jets, determined not to fall behind, fueling a cycle of one-upmanship that never ends. And Country C invests in anti-aircraft systems, convinced that defense is the only way to survive in a world where everyone is arming themselves to the teeth. Everyone defends against threats their own spending helped create, a cycle of paranoia. The more each country spends, the more others feel compelled to match or exceed, creating a feedback loop of fear and escalation. Many countries can't afford this frenzy, borrowing and cutting social programs to keep up. Social safety nets are slashed, public services deteriorate, and the debt piles up, all in the name of security that never quite arrives. It's like buying a Gucci belt when you can't pay rent. Impressive for a moment, but unsustainable. The show of strength is fleeting, while the consequences of neglecting essentials last for generations. This is fiscally irresponsible and a profound misallocation of resources globally. The world is mortgaging its future for the illusion of safety today, trading opportunity for anxiety. We need to talk about why this keeps happening and how to stop it. The conversation can't just be about numbers and budgets. It has to be about values, priorities, and what kind of world we want to build. The geopolitical equivalent of buying luxury while neglecting essentials is unsustainable. When nations prioritize weapons over welfare, everyone pays the price, from empty shelves to broken infrastructure. It's a global game of chicken with weapons that could end the game for everyone. The stakes are higher than ever, and the risks are impossible to ignore. The solution wasn't the problem. The solution became the problem. What started as a quest for safety has become a source of instability, draining resources and fueling conflict. This isn't just about money, it's about priorities and the future of our planet. Every dollar spent on arms is a dollar not spent on education, healthcare, or fighting climate change. The choices we make now will shape the world for generations. We need to rethink what true security means and how to achieve it. Real security comes from cooperation, investment in people, and a commitment to peace, not just bigger budgets and more weapons. Why are nations acting like they've won the lottery at Weapons R Us? Fear. Fear is the ultimate marketing tool for military spending, sold by politicians and defense contractors. Real geopolitical tensions exist, but responses are disproportionately militarized. Instead of diplomacy, the default is preparing for war, creating a security dilemma. One nation's defense is another's threat, a misunderstanding with tanks and missiles. The military-industrial complex thrives on perpetual conflict preparedness. They fund think tanks, campaigns, and keep fear front and center. This creates a world where peace is a temporary pause between conflicts. Preparing for war makes war more likely. Every problem looks like a nail. The global arms race prioritizes strength over genuine peace. We need to break this cycle and focus on lasting peace. It's time to prioritize diplomacy and de-escalation over militarization. No country makes defense decisions in a vacuum. Every move is shaped by what others are doing. It's all relative. One nation's actions ripple outward, influencing the choices of its neighbors and rivals. Imagine a quiet suburban street where one neighbor installs a new security system. Soon, others follow suit, adding cameras, alarms, and even neighborhood patrols. What starts as a single precaution quickly becomes a collective escalation. This same pattern is playing out on a global scale. Regional rivalries and historic tensions fuel a domino effect, where one country's military buildup triggers another's, and the cycle continues, often spiraling out of control. Take India and Pakistan, for example. Their mutual suspicion and long-standing disputes have led to relentless arms races, with each side constantly seeking to outdo the other, pouring resources into ever more advanced weaponry. The money spent on fighter jets and tanks could build thousands of schools or hospitals. Yet the fear of falling behind or appearing weak means that perceived threats almost always take priority over social needs. In the South China Sea, China's rapid military expansion has prompted neighboring countries to ramp up their own defense spending, leading to a regional arms race that shows no signs of slowing down. Everyone is trying to maintain a fragile balance of power, hoping to deter conflict but often increasing the risk of misunderstanding and escalation. There's no real end point to this cycle. No matter how much is spent, no country ever feels completely secure. The sense of vulnerability only grows. New technologies and emerging threats, like cyber warfare and autonomous drones, keep the treadmill of military expenditure running faster, forcing nations to constantly adapt and invest more. In the end, the only consistent winners are the arms manufacturers and dealers, who profit by selling to all sides, fueling the very cycle they benefit from. This logic has no natural stopping point. The pace and scale of spending only increase, with budgets ballooning year after year. Countries find themselves locked in a race with a finish line that keeps moving further away, always just out of reach. The arms race is like a treadmill with no off switch. Once you're on, it's almost impossible to step off without risking your position. But maybe it's time to rethink this logic. We need to find the courage and creativity to break the cycle, to step off the treadmill and imagine a different path. The cycle of spending and fear must be broken if we want true security, not just for one nation, but for everyone. Real safety comes from trust, cooperation, and shared prosperity. It's time to focus on peace and cooperation instead of endless competition. Only then can we build a safer, more hopeful future for all. The guns versus butter model. Finite resources mean choices. Right now, the world is choosing guns over social programs. The cost of a fighter jet could fund thousands of teachers or build hospitals. Governments choose jets over education, healthcare, and infrastructure. High military expenditures often correlate with poverty and illiteracy. Priorities are clear, and they betray the social contract. A strong military shell hides a weak core, less educated and healthy. This can make a country less secure in the long run. True strength is measured by the well-being of people, not tanks. Choosing guns over butter starves national strength. We need to realign priorities for a secure future. It's time to invest in people, not just weapons. The choice is clear. Prioritize human well-being over military might. In the developing world, the guns versus butter trade-off is stark. Nations face immense pressure to militarize despite limited resources. Saudi Arabia spends billions on weapons, neglecting domestic challenges. Sub-Saharan Africa diverts funds from development to military spending. The international arms trade profits from fear and instability. Wealthy nations sell weapons, strengthening their economies at others' expense. It's a cycle that traps nations in poverty and conflict. With military spending up, what do people think? It's complicated. Public opinion is shaped by fear and patriotism. In free countries, there's debate and protest against defense budgets. Citizens can demand a balanced approach and question safety. In authoritarian regimes, dissent is difficult, and military is glorified. National pride and emotional attachment to the military complicate criticism. It's easier to support troops than social workers. Emotional connections often override rational needs. We need to change the conversation and prioritize true needs. Citizens must demand a shift in priorities for a better future. What happens if militarization continues? The risk of war. More weapons increase the chance of conflict. Militarization normalizes confrontation, eroding trust and cooperation. Economically, it's a disaster, diverting resources from productive sectors. The human cost is underfunded schools, hospitals, and social safety nets. A future of less health, education, and opportunity is the current reality. We must change course to avoid a poorer, less stable world. The situation isn't great, but there are alternatives. Prioritize diplomacy over military posturing. Invest in diplomatic corps and conflict resolution. Arms control treaties can limit weapon production and spread. Transparency in arms trade prevents secretive buildups. Change the conversation at home. Demand different priorities. Support leaders advocating for peace, not war. Demand taxes fund schools and hospitals, not just bombs. An informed public can challenge fear-driven narratives. We need a radical shift in thinking for a better future. It's time to step back from the brink and choose peace. The power to change lies with engaged citizens demanding more. At its core, our future hinges on a fundamental choice. Do we continue down the path of fear, pouring ever more resources into military spending and weapons of war, or do we embrace cooperation and invest in the well-being of all? Imagine if even a fraction of the world's military budgets were redirected. Those funds could help end poverty, provide quality education for every child, and accelerate the fight against climate change. We could build a future where clean energy powers our cities, where healthcare reaches every corner of the globe, and diseases that once plagued humanity are eradicated. The resources exist, but they're too often funneled into tools of destruction instead of hope. This vision isn't some distant utopia. It's a pragmatic approach to survival in a world facing shared threats. Global challenges, like pandemics, climate change, and inequality, demand unity and cooperation, not more tanks or missiles. True security is found in a just, equitable, and sustainable world where everyone has the chance to thrive. The forces that profit from conflict are powerful, but they are not invincible. Real change begins when we recognize the absurdity of our current priorities and demand a new definition of security, one that puts people and the planet first, prioritizing human lives and dignity over weapons and war machines. We stand at a historic fork in the road. One path leads to fear and endless conflict, the other to investment in peace, prosperity, and a brighter future for all. The decision is urgent. Choose wisely, and choose together for a future built on cooperation, compassion, and shared well-being. The power to shape tomorrow is in our hands, and by investing in each other, we can create a world where everyone benefits. It's time to turn away from fear and invest in our communities, our children, and our planet. Let's choose peace and build a future of prosperity, hope, and harmony, leaving fear and conflict behind for good.